Lin Feng blinked. Gone was the familiar sight of his bedroom ceiling. In its place was, well, nothing, just a swirling vortex of colors. He felt weightless, like a feather caught in a hurricane. Then, just as suddenly, he slammed into solid ground. Pain shot through his body. What just happened? He struggled to sit up, his head spinning. As his vision cleared, he realized he was in a forest, but not any forest he recognized. Towering trees, thicker than any redwood he'd ever seen, clawed at the sky. Vines as thick as his arm snaked across the forest floor. They pulsed with an eerie inner light. The air hummed with a strange energy, making the hairs on his arms stand on end. This wasn't Earth. He knew it instinctively. A wave of dizziness hit him. He remembered the old antique shop, the ornate jade amulet, and the strange feeling of being pulled through time and space. He was in another world. He was in the heaven primal world. The air was thick with the scent of unknown flowers and the musk of unseen animals. Rustling in the undergrowth sent chills down his spine. He was completely out of his element. Fear, raw and primal, tightened its grip on his chest. He needed to find shelter, to understand where he was. He pushed himself to his feet, ignoring the throbbing in his ankle, and started walking. He needed answers, and he had a feeling this strange new world held them. After what felt like hours, he stumbled out of the dense forest and into a clearing. A small village, nestled at the foot of a waterfall, came into view. Wooden huts, built on stilts and connected by rope bridges, clung to the side of the mountain. Below, a raging river cut through the valley. The villagers, clad in rough-spun clothes, eyed him with suspicion. They were taller and more muscular than anyone he'd ever seen, their bodies honed to a primal strength. He tried to speak, to ask for help, but the words died in his throat. They spoke a language he didn't understand. An older man, his face etched with the lines of a hard life, approached him. He spoke gruffly, gesturing towards Lin Feng's scrawny physique with a dismissive wave. Lin Feng understood. He was weak, useless, a burden in this world where survival depended on physical prowess. The villagers, hardened by the harsh realities of their world, saw him as nothing but a liability. He was a city boy, dropped into a world of survivalists. He couldn't hunt, he couldn't fight, he couldn't even understand their language. Days turned into weeks, and Lin Feng found himself relegated to the role of village outcast. He was given menial tasks like fetching water and collecting firewood. He was treated with barely concealed contempt. The villagers made it clear he was nothing but a burden. One night, huddled in the corner of a drafty hut, despair threatened to consume him. He missed his family, his friends, even the annoying traffic back home. He was ready to give up. It was then, in his darkest hour, that he felt it. A tingling sensation. Like a jolt of electricity shot through his body. He gasped, clutching at his chest. A voice, robotic yet strangely soothing, echoed in his mind. Superfounder system activated. The world around him dissolved into a blinding light. When he could see again, a holographic screen hovered in front of him. It displayed his stats: Strength F, Pathetic; Speed F, Snail-like; Intelligence C, Average Joe; Special abilities, none. Seriously? The brutal honesty of the system made him want to crawl into a hole. He was officially the weakest being in existence, but the system wasn't done. A new message flashed across the screen. Quest established the #1 sect in the Heaven Primal world. A sect? What was that? The system, as if reading his mind, provided an explanation. A sect was a group of cultivators, individuals who harnessed the spiritual energy of the world to enhance their abilities. They were warriors, healers, and masters of the elements. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Could this be his chance? His opportunity to prove the villagers wrong? The system laid out his first task: recruit 4 disciples within a year. It seemed simple enough. But there was a catch. These couldn't be just any disciples. They had to possess the potential for greatness. Easy peasy, he muttered to himself, the weight of the task settling in. Where am I supposed to find 4 future superpowered beings in this backwater village where everyone thinks I'm weaker than a wet noodle? He demanded the system for help, expecting a detailed guide with highlighted maps and maybe a coupon for a free motivational poster. The system's response was less than helpful. The Superfounder system encourages independent problem-solving and resourcefulness. You've got to be kidding me, Lin Feng groaned. Not even a newbie gift? What kind of messed-up system is this? The screen remained stubbornly blank. Lin Feng sighed. He was on his own. He spent the next few days studying the system interface. It was overwhelming. There were so many options, so many paths to power, but he had no idea where to begin. He finally decided to focus on the basics. He needed to understand how to cultivate, how to harness the spiritual energy of this world. He started with meditation, trying to clear his mind and sense the flow of energy around him. It was harder than it looked. His mind, used to the constant distractions of the modern world, refused to cooperate. Days turned into weeks, and he made little progress. He felt like a complete failure. Maybe they're right, he muttered to himself one evening, staring at his reflection in a bowl of water. Maybe I am just a useless city boy. Just then, a faint tingling sensation ran up his arm. He looked down and saw a faint blue glow emanating from his hand. He jerked his hand back in surprise. The glow vanished. He hesitantly reached out again, focusing his will, and the glow returned. It was faint, barely noticeable, but it was there. He had done it. He had sensed the spiritual energy of the heaven primal world. Excitement surged through him. It was a small victory, but it was a start. He doubled his efforts, meditating for hours on end, pushing himself to his limits. He learned to draw in the spiritual energy, to feel it coursing through his meridians, strengthening his body and mind. It wasn't easy. There were times when the energy felt like a wild beast, threatening to tear him apart from the inside. But he persevered. He knew he had a long way to go, but for the first time since arriving in this world, he felt a glimmer of hope. He wasn't just a useless burden. He had the potential for greatness. He just needed to figure out how to unlock it, and he had a feeling that finding his disciples would be the key. He decided to leave Wolf Village. It was time to explore the world, to seek out those with the potential to become his disciples. But first, he needed information. He approached the village elder, the same gruff man who had dismissed him upon his arrival. The man looked at him with surprise, clearly not used to being approached by the village outcast. Lin Feng, mustering all the courage he could, tried to explain his purpose. He spoke of cultivation, of disciples, of building a sect that would become a legend. The elder, to Lin Feng's surprise, didn't laugh. He listened patiently, his weathered face unreadable. When Lin Feng was finished, the elder let out a long sigh. "You're still a fool," he said, his voice gruff but not unkind. "But you're a fool with a spark. A fool I wouldn't mind having on my side." He pointed toward the east. "There's a village, a day's journey from here," he said. "Stone Village. They're a superstitious lot, but they've always had a knack for sensing magic. You might find what you're looking for there." It was a long shot, but it was all he had. He thanked the elder, grateful for the unexpected guidance, and set off towards the rising sun. His heart pounded with a mix of trepidation and excitement. He was finally taking his first real step toward fulfilling his quest. The journey was fraught with peril. He encountered strange and dangerous creatures, each more bizarre and terrifying than the last. He learned to fight, using his newfound control over spiritual energy to enhance his speed and strength. He wasn't the same helpless boy who had first stumbled into this world. Stone Village was built into the side of a cliff, its buildings carved directly from the rock. The villagers were a hardy people, their skin weathered by the sun and wind, their eyes sharp and watchful. They regarded Lin Feng with suspicion, but there was a flicker of curiosity in their gaze that he hadn't seen in the eyes of the Wolf Village inhabitants. He spent several days observing the villagers, trying to identify those with potential. He watched the children play, looking for any signs of unusual strength or agility. He spoke to the elders, listening to their stories and legends. One evening, he witnessed a young girl, no more than 10 years old, effortlessly lift a boulder twice her size. She had dropped her toy, a small wooden bird, and it had rolled under the heavy stone. The other children had tried to move the boulder, but it was no use. The girl, without a word, had simply walked over and lifted it as if it weighed nothing. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Could this be his first disciple? He approached the girl, his heart pounding with nervous excitement. "Hello," he said, trying to sound casual. The girl looked up at him, her eyes wary. "I saw what you did just now," he continued. "That was incredible. You're very strong." The girl blushed, her gaze dropping to her feet. "It's nothing," she mumbled. "I just needed to get my bird." Section 8, a test of character. Lin Feng smiled. He could sense the girl's raw potential. She was like a diamond in the rough, waiting to be polished. "My name is Lin Feng," he said. "What's yours?" The girl hesitated for a moment before answering. "Mei," she said softly. "I'm Mei." Lin Feng spent the next few weeks getting to know Mei. He discovered that she was an orphan, raised by the village elder. She was a kind and gentle soul, but she possessed a hidden strength, both physical and spiritual. He saw in her the potential for greatness. He knew that she could become a powerful cultivator, but first, he needed to earn her trust. He began by telling her stories, not just any stories, but tales of legendary cultivators, of epic battles and mystical powers. He spoke of heroes who had overcome impossible odds, of ordinary people who had achieved extraordinary things through hard work and determination. Mei was captivated. She had always been fascinated by the old legends, but hearing them from Lin Feng, seeing the passion in his eyes made them feel real. He also began teaching her the basics of cultivation. He showed her how to sense the flow of spiritual energy, how to draw it into her body and use it to enhance her strength and speed. Mei was a natural. She picked up the techniques quickly, her innate talent shining through, but Lin Feng was careful not to push her too hard. He knew that cultivation was more than just learning techniques. It was about discipline, about understanding oneself, about harnessing the power within. He wanted Mei to choose this path for herself, not because he had forced it upon her. Section 9. The Power of Belief. One day as they were practicing in a secluded clearing, Mei turned to Lin Feng, her eyes shining with excitement. "Lin Feng," she asked, "can I really become as strong as the heroes in your stories?" Lin Feng smiled. He had been waiting for this moment. "You can be even stronger, Mei," he said, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You have the potential for greatness, but it won't be easy." Mei's expression hardened with determination. "I'm not afraid of hard work," she said. "I want to be strong. I want to protect the people I care about." "Then you will be a powerful cultivator indeed," Lin Feng said, his voice filled with pride. He knew that Mei's journey was just beginning. There would be challenges ahead, trials that would test her limits. But he had faith in her. She had the heart of a true cultivator, the unwavering spirit that could move mountains, and he would be there for her, every step of the way, guiding her, supporting her, helping her to unlock her full potential. He knew that finding Mei was just the beginning. He still had 3 more disciples to find, each with their own unique talents and challenges. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. He had taken the first step. He had found a disciple worthy of his teachings, a disciple who believed in him as much as he believed in her, and together, they would build a sect that would become a legend. Section 10, First Disciple. "Mei," Lin Feng said, his voice serious, "I want you to come with me, become my disciple, learn the ways of cultivation." Mei's eyes widened. "Your disciple?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Lin Feng could see the conflict in her eyes. She was torn between her loyalty to her village and the allure of the unknown. He knew that asking her to leave everything behind was a big ask, but he also knew that she wouldn't reach her full potential here. She needed a teacher, a mentor, someone to guide her on her path. "I know this is a lot to ask," Lin Feng said, his voice soft, "but I believe in you, Mei. I believe that you have the potential to become something truly extraordinary. But you need guidance, training. You need someone to show you the way." Mei took a deep breath, her small chest rising and falling. She looked around at the familiar surroundings of her village, at the faces of the people she had known her entire life. "I want to be strong," she finally said, her voice firm. "I want to learn everything you can teach me." Lin Feng smiled. It was the answer he had been hoping for, but he knew that it hadn't been an easy decision. "Are you sure, Mei?" he asked, wanting to make sure she understood the gravity of her choice. "There's no going back." Mei nodded, her eyes shining with a newfound determination. "I'm sure," she said. Section 11. A foundation is laid. Lin Feng placed a hand on her shoulder, a surge of warmth flowing through him. This was it. He had his first disciple. "Then let's begin," he said, his voice filled with quiet confidence. Together they walked away from Stone Village, toward the rising sun, their shadows stretching out behind them. Lin Feng knew that their journey was just beginning. They had a long road ahead of them, filled with challenges and dangers. But he was no longer alone. He had Mei by his side, his first disciple, his first believer. And as he looked at the determined expression on her young face, he felt a surge of hope. They would build a sect that would become a legend. He had cheated, yes, the system was a crutch, a cheat code in a world where power was earned through blood, sweat, and tears. But Lin Feng realized that the system wasn't about making things easy. It was about giving him a chance, an opportunity to prove himself in a world that had already dismissed him as weak and insignificant. He had a long way to go before he could claim the title of the world's greatest sect leader. But with each step, with each challenge overcome, with each new disciple he brought into the fold, he would chip away at the doubts, both within himself and in the minds of those who had underestimated him. He had a system, yes, but he also had something far more powerful: determination, unwavering belief, and a heart that refused to be anything less than extraordinary. And that, he knew, was a recipe for true greatness.